Dear Gratitude, an anthology is out.
With over 50 different perspectives and stories on gratitude, this book captures what most books don't. The secret sauce is in the number of voices and stories where you'll be sure to find a personal connection to so many as I did. A really excellent book, David Freeman. Found exclusively on Amazon.com.
Hi, I'm Chris Palmore, and welcome to Gratitude Space Radio. This is another episode of Gratitude and Movement. Let me bring in my co-hostess, Laura. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Hello. Good morning, Chris.
Good morning. So glad to see you. I feel like it feels like it's been a while, so I'm very grateful to see you.
Me too. I'm so excited for our guest and to spend this time with you, like always.
Me too, and I'm so glad we could make another. It's a great way to start the Friday with you, and also to meet one of your good friends. So before we bring him in, if you'd like to give a little introduction, and then we'll bring him on.
Yeah, I'll make it short so that we can share some time with him. But yeah, our guest today, his name is Charles Ryan, known by his friends as CR, and he is an incredible human, acrobat, motorcycle lover, and adventurer. And also an amputee. He had an accident a few years ago, lost a leg, and we'll talk a little bit about that too. But yeah, I just want to bring him in and see what he has to share with us.
All right. Well, welcome, Charles Ryan. How you doing, man?
Doing well. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good
So
morning.
thank you for joining us today, man. Really appreciate it.
An honor and pleasure.
So, I like to start these, like I said, it's almost like a pre-gratitude thing. It's the, this is a grateful moment, getting to meet somebody new. Laura, I'm sure you know, Charles Ryan, that anytime with Laura is a grateful moment. So I like to think of look back at the mechanics of this moment and like find the gratitude. So for example, I always share, how there's this how Laura and I met. It's just these little interactions between people that I, going along the way, these little interactions who led me to other friends, who led me to other friends, who led me to the moment where I met Laura. And then here we are, right? So I've done that a couple of times, but obviously you haven't heard that. But I'm curious, how did you meet Laura? And I'm curious, like who were the connectors and the things, the elements that came into play?
So I met Laura pretty shortly after my accident. I was out of the hospital, but I didn't have a leg yet. I wasn't able to move around other than, on crutches and stuff. I was still in a lot of pain and I was still covered in like wounds, but despite all that, I decided to go to Acro Love in Portland, Oregon. It was a big acro festival, and I had a blast. I met so many people, and I did really awesome acro, did a lot of fun movement. It was very restorative for me. And there I met Laura. So it was good.
Yeah, so Charles Ryan is one of those people that I met through acro yoga and acrobatics. And like he said, we met at Acro Love, which is originally it was called Divine Play. It's just like this big festival that is done every year pre-COVID in Portland, Oregon. And yeah, I've heard about this amazing person, but we hadn't met. And then we took an acro therapeutics class together. And that's where we connected. I would say probably the connection is Jason Niemer, who is the person who started acro yoga and also the festival, which is now in the hands of another person. But Jason Niemer actually brought Charles Ryan and I together in that class. He was the one teaching the class, and I was so happy to work with him and face the challenges of like facing a person that was like a little heavier on one side. But yeah, that's how we met, and we just stayed in contact through social media. I had a lot of like admiration for him, but also, the little time that I got to spend with him in the festival, I could feel him and I felt like he was a beautiful person. And then when I moved to Las Vegas, I realized that he was living here. So I was like, I want to hang out with you. And right away he was like, absolutely, when you're here, let me know. And I can say like he's one of my best friends here in Las Vegas, and I adore him. And I'm so grateful that he took the time today to share with us.
It's beautiful. I love that you're saying after your accident, you decide to go to this festival, and then Laura just happens to be there, right? And then this teacher happens. You guys are in this one class with this one teacher, so there's a lot of grateful moments, little magic happening there for your all's friendship to occur.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah.
Speaks a lot of Charles Ryan's spirit, like this is a massive festival with hundreds of people, and he just decided to show up and just bring his heart. So
was that a tough choice to make the decision at that time with everything going on to go to that festival? Do you remember, Charles Ryan?
No, not a tough decision to go. I had been wanting to go for years and just hadn't go. And this was the first year. I wasn't. I didn't have any work to do. I didn't have anything, going in the way of that. And so it's like, well, yeah, let's go. But I knew that we would figure out. Like I knew I'd figure out things to do physically. I knew it would be a challenge, but that's never really bothered me. I like challenges, and I thought, well, what better place to go and explore and figure out what I can do with my new altered body than a place of movement and community and, a lot of good people in one place that can help me figure out my new form. And that was exactly what happened.
It's a very supportive community, Chris. So, and, acrobatics is teamwork. And festivals like that, there's so many levels, like from like very, very beginner to like circus artists. So yeah, it's a place where you can explore and have a lot of people to spot you or say, be there for you. So
yeah.
That's beautiful. Well, Charles Ryan, for people who don't know you or watching, can you share, obviously Laura gave a nice introduction, but I'd love for you to share a little more about who you are and your passions.
Sure. Well, I was a professional photographer for 10 years, mostly in Los Angeles. And I still go back and forth between Los Angeles and Las Vegas. But during my career, I fell in love with first flying rings and also flying trapeze and other movement arts, trampoline, things like that. And I had gotten more and more into higher level professional movement, basically, during my photography career. And then right about 2018, going into 2019, I had made the decision I wanted to focus more on movement going forward than on photography. I've always loved photography, but I just wanted to see, like, movement was calling me more and more, I would say, at the time. And so I was looking at Cirque du Soleil shows. I was looking at what I could do with especially flying rings or trapeze. And I had, it was like I was coming off of Christmas with my family and heading toward Los Angeles on my motorcycle, and I was hit by a DUI driver. And I didn't have any time to react or anything like that. I've always been a very careful driver, but this was one of those situations that was completely out of my control. And basically, long story short, I didn't die. It was close, but I survived. And thankfully, I only lost my leg, but it took a lot of hospital time, a lot of surgeries, and there was a big, long process to recovery. And yet the whole time I knew, I still wanted to focus on acrobatics. I still wanted to see what I could accomplish with my new form as soon as possible. But it took a while. But I'm still in that process. I'm still in the healing and adjusting process right now. But thankfully, but at this point, I've been able to do a lot more since then. So.
I'm curious, CR, how did you get into acrobatics in the first place?
So in a way, I've been doing it my whole life. I was that little kid that was just had to be flipping off of the swing set or climbing the highest thing and jumping off. Like you could never contain me. But I was also, I grew up in Ohio. My parents were from the same little town. Gymnastics wasn't really an option. Little boys played baseball and maybe soccer, basketball, whatever. And so I grew up, thinking that that's what I was supposed to be doing, and I was terrible at it. And we didn't have like a gymnastics team or a diving team or anything like that. But I was always like going off to like a pool, diving boards, like whatever. I was always trying to do flips off of stuff. And nobody could figure out why. They're just like, you can flip, but you can't play baseball. Like, what's going on? So it wasn't until like high school and college that I would join a cheerleading gym and just go and bounce on the trampoline, but I didn't have instruction. Or I would find any, again, diving board that I could, and just, send stuff, again, not knowing what I was doing. So basically self-taught gymnastics up until through college, but I loved it. I would just flip off of anything. So it wasn't until long afterwards that I finally moved to Los Angeles and I found Muscle Beach, and I started learning flying rings on the beach. I was just immediately drawn to that art. Most people don't know what that is. So there's like gymnastics rings in the Olympics where you have the two rings and you're holding them and you do like still stuff. That's not what I do. Flying rings is like you take those rings and then you swing back and forth in a giant arc, and it's much more flow. It's much more acrobatic, or at least because of the swing, it's less about strength and more about timing. But you're doing like crazy flips on each end, and you're doing dismounts, flipping, landing, all that stuff. It's quite spectacular. It's a lot of fun, but not many people do it. It's kind of a dead sport or art, and only a few people do it in like a couple Cirque shows, and mostly just at Muscle Beach, Santa Monica, original Muscle Beach. And I just like that. It was just a really special form of movement, and I picked it up real fast and just basically couldn't stop, and I still can't stop. And from there I got into trapeze, flying trapeze, and finally got some actual
Training.
like professional training. Up until then it was all just like self-taught, just figure it out, injure yourself, keep going kind of thing.
Sorry, what you said last?
I said, we'll say I got into acrobatics gradually. It's a long story.
Yeah, I love that. No, I hear you. And I think like it makes sense that the flying rings brought you to trapeze, because you love that like adrenaline of like literally just flying in the air, the speed. You're a motorcycle also lover. You like the speed, the adrenaline, and that like moment of floatiness, and the timing. You have to be so precise. Like there's so much that goes into it. It's dynamic. It's just beautiful. You're like on top of the world, flying on top of everyone. I can see why that calls
All
you.
my favorite things combined.
Yeah, so cool.
So Charles Ron, I was wondering, backing up on your story, I was curious, did you go to college in Ohio, and did you go for photography?
So my family moved around quite a lot. Wasn't military or anything. My dad just did construction. He managed like big projects, hospitals, resorts, things like that. So by the time it was college age, we were actually in Georgia.
Okay.
So I went to a couple different colleges in Georgia, but I graduated from the University of Georgia, UGA. And I did study photography. I changed majors a few times, but I graduated with photojournalism as my major, my focus. So
Cool, man. So, obviously you're saying, getting to California to Muscle Beach was a big a big turn in your life, getting on the ring. So I'm curious, how did we get what were the elements in play that took you from Georgia bring you to Muscle Beach? Were there some people there, friends, or what how did that happen?
Yeah, I had a couple friends in Los Angeles, and I had visited the year before, and I don't know why, but somehow for years and years, I just kind of always had this idea that I would end up in Los Angeles. I just always growing up being the different person, being I don't know, very unique, very active. It just seemed like my kind of city, and so I had already started my photography career in Georgia, but I was getting better and better to the point where I knew, like, if I really wanted to challenge myself, if I really wanted to have a big, career, basically, it would be probably New York, LA, something like that. And so LA has beaches, it's much warmer. So I hopped on my motorcycle and I brought what I could carry on my motorcycle and literally across the
Oh,
country
wow.
motorcycle trip. And that was part of the draw too, honestly. I was excited about that. Just a leap of faith kind of thing. Just move out there. I had like a couple friends, but I didn't have, connections. I didn't have a job lined up. I didn't have anything like that. I just was like, I'm going to shoot my shot. If I can make it in LA, then I can make it anywhere. So I did. And it took a while for sure. It took a lot of work. It's a very competitive market for freelance photographers, but I did. I made it work. Just me and my motorcycle. I never had a car the whole time I lived in LA. I would go around with whatever camera equipment I could fit on the bike. I had to get creative. And so, yeah, while I was doing that, photography is, it's like 10% shooting, but then the rest of the time it's like, carrying equipment, sitting in coffee shops, editing, waiting for bars to go across the computer screen, all that. A lot of sitting, actually. And so to break all that up, I needed, some activity, some intense physical activity. So rings and beach were actually perfect symbiotic relationship with photography, because I could, get my physical energy out there, and then, while I'm resting, okay, edit the photos. So
Yeah, and like Original Muscle Beach is a place where you've met probably a lot of your really good friends now, and it's just such a. I've been there before, Chris, and it's a big playground. It's so fun. Yeah, everybody's just doing whatever form of movement they want, and it's really impressive and inspiring to be around all that energy. So I think CR also fell in love with the people and the community. Like, they're very supportive. They're climbing on everything, watching the sunset from like 20 feet high and all that stuff.
people see the rings on the beach and they're like, "Wow, that's cool," but Muscle Beach, Santa Monica, Original Muscle Beach, it's so much more than just equipment on the beach. It's all about community. And Sunday afternoon, Sunday's the day basically that the community shows up, the regulars. Any other day you could go, you might see some tourists, you'd see the rings, whatever. Not the same at all, not the same energy. If you go Sunday afternoon, you'll see, we show up for each other, we celebrate birthdays, we hang out, we go get dinner afterwards. Like, it's a family. It's my closest friends all in one place. It's really, really special. And so I fell in love with that for sure. And just really wanted to be a part of that community, wanted to help out, wanted to be, supportive and supported. And it's been just an unbelievable experience the whole time. It was January 1st, 2012 that I first came there. Like, I'd moved to LA November, December 2011, but I hadn't met a lot of people yet. And I was starting to doubt, honestly, the decision to come here. I was like, I really felt like this was right, but things aren't, I was missing a community. I was missing, like, is that all this is? And then I'd had a very introspective and difficult New Year's, and I woke up the next morning, so January 1st, and I just walked on the beach, and I was just, man, I just really open to something new, something different. and I saw somebody do a run on the flying rings, and immediately I was just like, this is a thing. Like, I have to do this. I have to learn this. And from that day forward, I was a flying rings artist. It was that like jarring, that immediate.
I love, you know, the elements of that story. I love the fact you're saying you were in a bad space, or you had a bad night, and you just were like, okay, I'm going to get out and walk. And you just took the time to go walk on the beach, and you came across something that completely changed your life, you know, out of where if you would have been having a good night that evening, who knows if you would have walked on the beach, the moment wouldn't have been there. It could have happened later, obviously, but the moment you're talking about wouldn't exist, right? If you hadn't had that night before. Which a lot of, you know, it's a great thing to point out, because a lot of people, you know, it's a lot of the really great things that happen in our lives are coming out of elements like that, right? You know, that the bad night before, or the breakup, or the accident, or whatever, right? It leads us, you know, to other places we wouldn't be, and to friendships, right? Friendships and realities that wouldn't even exist. So I love. It's always great to hear those. I loved you sharing. I was thinking we were talking about crossing the country, you know, taking this leap of faith and crossing the country on your bike. Could you share a couple? I mean, there had to be a couple of magic moments. At the same time, you're just going out west from you know, Georgia. That must have been just an epic journey. I mean, not only landscape wise, but just in your head. I mean, you know, the bike, and 3,000 miles or whatever.
Absolutely. I mean, there's so many stories just from that trip. We could be here all day, but
Share a couple, please. Just a couple then.
Yeah, oh man, I set out from Georgia it was November. It was right before Thanksgiving. And I thought, okay, this is going to take me, you know, at least a couple days for sure. It ended up taking like a month.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was December before I got to LA for sure, but it was like freezing cold. It was way colder than I thought it would be. And also storm after storm rolled in. Like when I left, the weather was supposed to be good and everything, but it was like rainstorms and, you know, snow in the desert and all this crazy weather.
Snow in the desert. That's great. What an image.
Texas. I'm trying to get across Lake Texas and it's snowing. I'm just like, this is but this is what I signed up for, you know, the challenge, I'd already been a motorcycle rider for years, and I knew my bike, and I knew how to ride in weather and stuff, but it was still a challenge, and I've always liked a challenge. This was a lot. I also remember it was in New Mexico. I experienced crazy wind. I'd never seen wind like this. Like this, and it was coming straight across the highway. So I'm on this, and it's a sport bike too. It's a Honda CBR 600, and I've got stuff on the back. I'm trying to get across this highway. I'm trying to get I'm in the middle of nowhere, New Mexico, and I remember I'm fighting the wind. I'm leaned all the way over, like as far as I would comfortably go. Not comfortably, it's as far as I would go on like a really, really sharp turn, just to stay straight with all this wind. I'm just like, this is insane. I had to pull over for a bit because it was just too much. That was the first time that I'd experienced that. But yeah, there were a couple nights it got too cold to ride, and I had to park the bike and sleep under a bridge. Like,
oh wow,
yeah, like it was very intense, but yeah, it was an adventure.
Sounds like, I mean, a month.
Yeah.
Did you know where you were gonna go in LA? Like, did you have a place in LA that you were going to, or that was part of the figuring it out when you got there?
No, I did. I had a friend who was staying in Venice, and he said I could crash with him for a bit. So I at least had a place or two in Venice or in California. There was another friend that was like closer out toward Burbank, but and I stayed with him a couple nights too. So like I had a couple people that I could bounce around with. Also, I have uncles that live in West Hollywood. They're fantastic. So, you know, I little bit of a support system, but not a lot. It was still it was a brand new city and a very intimidating city. But again, I like the challenge.
You sure do. So you said you moved with whatever fit in your motorcycle. You didn't ship anything. You're just.
I think I sent like one. I can't remember. It's like one box.
Wow.
But that was it. Like, and it
You were
was
just like minimalist.
like all the stuff that I needed that I lived with every day fit on that motorcycle. And I did. I mean, I put a lot on there. In retrospect, it was probably on the dangerous side of how much you can put on one of those, but I did it.
Amazing. Amazing. And yeah, and then after the accident, it took you a while to get back into motorcycle riding, right? So
that took longer than I thought it would. But again, we had some setbacks that I didn't anticipate either. So, but yeah, I'm finally back on over 2 years later and loving it, absolutely loving it. But yeah, it was quite a challenge.
So how was it? So just recently you started riding, I guess, how you're saying, because you said this for 2 years. So how was it? What was the feeling like, or the circumstance, or the weather, the day that you finally got on the bike and rode it again? I would love to hear about I know you love riding bikes, obviously, so I'd love to hear about that moment where you got to do it again.
So okay, there were kind of technically a couple, because I test drove a couple electric bikes, literally just one ride each. And it was thrilling. It was wonderful, but it wasn't as magic as the first time I got on a bike that was my own. This is my bike. Got it working and went for a ride. It was actually, I went to Red Rock and I rode around, and the weather was perfect. The sunset was perfect. It was just absolutely bliss. And then actually I went over to Laura's right afterwards and hung out and had dinner, and one of my friends from Muscle Beach that I'd known for years was over visiting too. So it was just a really, really nice group of people, and it was an absolutely unforgettable day. It was wonderful. I just had so much joy and gratitude from the ride, from the day. Like, yeah, it was really, really special.
And he brought all of that to my place, and we celebrated, and I was so, so, so happy to just feel his energy as he experienced this again. It's like such a big part of his life, and also, big part of his trauma. And still, it was like there was none of that in that day. Like the ability of like being back in a bike, and it was all love and joy and gratitude. There was nothing else. And yeah, it's just so beautiful to see that. And I'm so grateful that you came to my home, and that we have been able to like grow this friendship. It's just so cool to feel that, to see you, to learn from you, CR. Yeah, you're so strong.
And then Laura was also my first passenger ride, which one of the things that I loved about motorcycles so much. Like, it's a lot of fun riding, but it's just not the same by yourself. It's something that I've always enjoyed sharing with people, friends, anybody. When I bought my bike, I loved the bike and I knew it was the right bike for me, but the person who had it before me he'd put like a cover over the passenger seat for racing, and he'd taken the passenger pegs off, and I was just like, what is this? No, like, I couldn't even, ride with passengers yet, but I was like, when I do, I'm going to need passenger pegs. Like, that was the first thing that I did, was put on passenger pegs. So I was like, I got to give my friends rides. Like, number one. And yeah, so thankfully I'm still able to take passengers. I'm still able to enjoy the bike. Like, it's such a blessing, and I'm very grateful.
Yeah. Once he was ready to have a passenger, I jumped in, and we went to the Red Rocks. We did the whole loop, and watched the sunset, and it was beautiful and super exciting. And yeah, I'm grateful for that too. What an experience.
That's so beautiful. You know, the amazing thing about gratitude and the people sharing moments, like even the other day, I was talking to a new friend, Tamara, and she was talking about how much gratitude she had just being able to hug her son and feel his like light, you know, the softness of her cheek on his cheek, you know. And the amazing thing with you, it's the same thing when you talk about the joy of you getting back on your bike. I feel that, right? Like that's amazing. And and it makes me grateful because it just brings that out. And then you're adding the element of you got to go over and spend the rest of the day with Laura, right? Like it's just, I'm just picturing all this joy, right? This happiness. So that's the amazing thing about sharing these stories, right? They're gratitude filled stories that anybody, even if they don't know you, because I don't know you, Charles Ryan, like I feel it, you know, it's a beautiful thing, man. You know, I know, and just seeing that day, you know, I talked to another friend who, when he was really young, he wanted to be a stuntman, and he had a fall, and the doctor told me he's going to be paralyzed. Like they said, you're never going to walk again. And he basically had the mindset. He's like, well, you don't know me. You don't know what's going to happen, you know? And I remember I was talking to him, and he was like, I think he said it was 18 months later. I was walking, and I did my first, you know, 12-story jump or whatever, you know? And I was just, you hear stuff like that, right? When you hear stuff goes down, but yet it's not you know, that's not the end. That wasn't the end of his story. Just like, you know, it's what I love too, right? It's like when things happen, if we're still going, it's not the end of our story, whatever it is, right? Whatever it is, if you're still here, you got a story to tell, you got a life to live. And here we are. That's why when you say, again, I love the fact that you're up there, you know, doing your rings still. I did see your videos on Instagram when you're talking about riding your bike, which you're passionate about. Like, you know, it's freaking beautiful, man. So thank you.
No problem. Absolutely.
CR is a rock for me and for so many people around. He's also an incredible community builder. So he got a house here in Las Vegas, and he calls it the Circus Ranch. So let's share a little bit about that space and what it means to you, and like what are your like visions for the place?
Sure. I'm here right now. I'm in the office, but it's a wonderful house, and I was drawn to it because of the potential of the space for acrobatics. Basically, it's in an old historic neighborhood that's zoned for like horses and whatever you want to do. So there's no HOA, so I can literally build whatever I want in the backyard. The backyard is huge, and so my vision was to put up rings and aerial equipment and tree house kind of stuff, hammocks, kind of whatever, slack lines. There's a pool, and so I'm in the process of building this out. I actually have an entire set of traveling rings out there. It's just not set up yet, but it's here. And I've made it known to my Muscle Beach friends that, you know, I want to host, you know, other acrobatic equipment, things like that, and also just community. Like we've had a couple outdoor movies now here so far that have been really, really fun. Carefully during the pandemic, but just with close friends and everything. So, but being able to do outdoor fun activities is huge. It's a big thing that a lot of us have missed over the last year. So so I wanted to be part of that. But yeah, this house it's dedicated to community, to movement, to friends, and also like recuperation. So we have a sauna, we have a hot tub, pool, all of that. So yeah, I have friends that come over just to use the sauna sometimes. It's great. I love it.
Just for recovery.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We gotta take care of our bodies.
Yeah, sometimes the acrobats forget to do the restorative part. We just want to like train, get better, and the body's like, but please some love. So you provide the sauna, the hot tub, the cool plunge in the pool, and for your friends to heal your body, and the place really feels that it just feels very inviting. Since the first time I went there, it's just it feels like you go in and you're like, oh yeah, I can come back here. Like you feel like so welcome, and that's just CR is the heart of the place. So it speaks a lot about who you are.
Thanks. Yes, that's what I wanted to create. And yeah, you were saying about the restoration for artists. Like that was something I was always bad about, was not taking as good care of my body as I should in the recovery realm. So, you know, training hard, and then, you know, I might take a bath or something like that. But now I look back and I'm like, yeah, it would have been better with, you know, sauna, with you know, rolling out joints with the what do you call them,
the roller or the balls,
it's more and more about that, yeah, especially as we get older. So yeah, wanted to get better about that and help other friends take care of their bodies so that we can last longer, keep doing this years down the road.
Definitely.
So how long have you had a vision for this house, and when did you start moving on that? Were you thinking about this the last couple of years, and this is something in the last 3 months, or where did that vision come from, and how did it become what it is?
That's a good question. It has really come together kind of organically and not over that long of a time, I think, but it's actually interesting. I'm if I had to answer that question. I don't think I definitely didn't think of all of this like all at once. This has also been something that friends have helped with as well. I've just been open to ideas and have helped kind of like bring them all together, all the different ideas, all the different angles of this. But I never thought I would even own a house for life. I thought I would just rent the rest of my life, but it was like several factors all at once coming together to where I could even do this, and then that I would even want to. But I think when I walked in this house, like I found a realtor here in Las Vegas, and I knew I wanted to get into investment property and something to rent out, stuff like that. But I swear, when I walked into this house, it was the moment I walked in, and I was just like, I need this place. and then, that was quickly segued to like, I want to share this with my friends, kind of like the motorcycle. It's like, nothing's good enough for me to just do. Like, I don't take joy in just doing things by myself as much as if I like something, I want to bring my friends on it. I want to share it. Like, that's my immediate thought is, this is cool. So let's have some people over to enjoy this, basically. And that basically grew into this whole idea organically.
So the more people coming over, the more experiences, more ideas, and then obviously it's ever expanding, right? So the sky's the limit type of thing, because you're open for suggestion, and you've got creative friends, and people are coming around, and who knows where it's going, but it's fun, right?
Yeah. And if it's a challenge, that's just makes it more interesting to me. So for the most part, it's like I pretty much just say yes to things that good and even remotely possible, then why not? Life is short, so we might as well do the things that really resonate with us.
Yeah, and when you said to say with yes, I feel like Laura and I talked about that on our last podcast, and the one I did the other day, we were going back to that whole idea of just being open to experiences and saying yes to changes or new people or going places, or so I feel like that's a circular lot. To me, it's like a big part of being grateful is just being open to experience life and moving forward, and that's the amazing thing about new experiences, right? When you go on vacation, for example, you're very aware of what's going on because it's a new experience, it's a new place. It's the same idea when you're saying yes to a new situation. You're putting yourself somewhere that you're not normally at, so you're actually more attentive and aware of everything that's going on. And those are the memory. That's what we remember, right? We remember those things, the new experiences, the new places, the new people. And I was even back to the community idea, like you were saying, I loved how you said, you know, I was experiencing this and I just wanted to bring my friends in, you know, and I was writing this the other day about, you know, at the end of our lives, like the reason we feel like we've lived is because of memories. You know, it's all about how many memories you have, and in the memories that we really remember, the memories are memories of people. It isn't like we have memories of, okay, I was watching Netflix by myself, or the memories of driving to work. You know what I mean? Like but it's with people. It's memories of experiences with people that make you feel. That's where your memories. That's your life. That's how that's how long your life is all the memories you have with people. And that's why when you say, I have this and what I have with my friends, you're just basically like, I love this. I want to experience this with my friends because I love my friends. Yeah, it's beautiful.
Those moments of connection is what you remember. And
Right.
yeah, and it's just like what makes you feel human is when you connect with people. You can like feel more and expand because you're in the same space with other people. And I'm a big friends person, and I love big groups of people. I love meeting new people, and I'm very loyal to my friends. So I'm part of the community, and I understand wanting to bring people into all the things you do. I always want to have people over as well. And actually an experience that brought me and CR together was also when my friend Luz was visiting Las Vegas, and she broke her hand. And CR the same day showed up, brought her like all this anti-inflammatory juices and like just all of his heart and knowledge about pain management and knowledge about like accidents and it gave my friend Luz a lot of support and love, and I that for me is like sometimes even bigger that if he would have done it for me, like that the fact that he did it for like my friend that was visiting me, it was like, oh my God, like this is a person that I want to like really keep in, so it just shows how big and giving you are, and after all that you've been through, it didn't dim your spirit whatsoever. On the contrary, it built you up. It made you a stronger person. And like you said, you like challenges. So life gave you a really big challenge there with taking your left leg. So can you share a little bit about how it's been for you to come back into your body after the accident and like moving? And then I have another question, but I want to hear a little bit about that first.
Sure. When the accident happened, I knew that it was a severe injury, but it was a process. Even realizing that I was going to lose my leg. At first, they wanted to save the whole thing. Even when it happened before I was put under, they had mentioned amputation even at the scene, like because I didn't get knocked out or anything. I remember the whole everything, and but the people that were taking care of me, they had to put a tourniquet on me, but they were saying like, oh man, that leg's amputated. And I was like, amputated? Can we wait for the hospital to decide, like, anyway, but yeah, in the hospital, they were like, yeah, we were able to like put your leg back together, and we think we can save it. And I was like, good, all right, awesome. It was pretty damaged, but they were like, yeah, so we're gonna there was like blood vessels lost, and there was skin's gonna be a big issue, and there's like we're gonna have to take some muscle and like put it on there and like cover area and stuff like that. And I was like, okay. And they're like, yeah, so we're gonna take a blood vessel from your right leg, and we're gonna take some muscle from your back, and we're just gonna like put them on and like hope that they stick, and hopefully you can get enough blood and nerve and stuff like that it doesn't like reject it. And I'm like, that's starting to sound really weird. And they're like, I was like, muscles from my back? What muscles from my back? And they're like, they're called lats. Most people don't use them. You're not like a climber or anything, are you? Like, all right, hold up. no, you'll take my other leg before you take my lats. Like, there's no way. Like, they're like, what? You know, nobody says that. You know, everybody wants to save the leg. And I was like, yeah, but I don't want to take away from my other parts. Like, you know, I'm just really glad that the whole rest of me wasn't damaged during this. Like, there's a lot of things I can do without one leg, but if you take my lats, you start taking other stuff. Like, it was kind of a mess. I had to actually convince them to end. And I told them at the time, this was January of 2019, and I said, you know, just take it above the knee. Just get me out of the hospital. I will go back to doing acrobatics. I'll be back on the trapeze. I'll be back to whatever. Just get me out of here. And, you know, fewer surgeries, the better, kind of thing. And they're just like, you're crazy. No one ever says this. You know, we can't do that. We might lose our license or something. Like, they're just like, we don't want to do that. Like, you know, so the compromise was they were going to save my knee and just take the foot. So, you know, the knee was very damaged, but it was, you know, it was looking like possible. And so I told them, okay, it's worth a try. Let's try it. But if you go in there and that knee's not going to be at least 80%, I want you to take it. Like, I promise. If I wake up without it, I'll be fine. You know, I'm not going to be mad. But long story short, they're like, yeah, we think we can save it. So we did 15 surgeries, 11 blood transfusions, 3 different skin grafts from the same site to try and save this knee, and spent a year trying to make a below knee, you know, amputation work. And it didn't work. So it was by the end of the year, basically, it was clear that that knee was just never going to be a good athletic or even really usable knee. So in January of 2020, we finally took it off, went above the knee. So it's been a long process, but even then, it's been a lot of recovery since then. But during the process, I just basically adjusted and tried to see what all is still possible. And yeah, so movement is different for me now. It is a big challenge, and I try not to think about it, but it's all about mentality, right? So what I do is that I don't focus on the things that I can't do anymore, and that's usually not the first thing that goes to my mind. The first thing is, what can I still do, and am I better today than I was yesterday, kind of thing. And that's what gets me through everything. But yeah, that's a practice, and you learn that and you get better by doing it. And I think that's one of the biggest things that I could share with people is, like, no matter what you're struggling with, no matter what challenges that you didn't ask for end up coming your way, we can't control everything, and we can't completely avoid risk no matter what we do. But what we can do is have the right attitude of, what do we do now? And, how do we make the best out of this? And what can we still accomplish? And yeah, I think I've just gone on a huge tangent, but.
No, I love that.
That's
because
beautiful.
it drives me right into that other question, which is, well, it sounds like you have a deep appreciation for the things you can do, right? Like I don't know how you were before the accident, but it sounds like, your mind is in solution mode, not in problem mode, which is huge. It's big, and everybody should work on that, having your mindset on solutions versus problems. So what do you think it's like something that you can say, like, and this might be like a crazy question, but like, why are you grateful it happened? Huh?
I like crazy questions, but
Why are you grateful that this happened? Or in what ways are you grateful how has this changed you, that you can say, I'm grateful because you know, that this happened because of this, or where's the appreciation and the gratefulness in this challenge?
Oh man, there's so much. Like I'm so much stronger now after this than I was before. Um, and I didn't have a bad life. Like I had a good life. I had, 34 years of, living my best life for sure. And yet nothing, there's nothing as intense as this. Like this was so intense. This was such a growing, learning experience. And I am necessarily changed physically and especially mentally afterwards. And yeah, so much stronger. And I've learned so much. And my friends, my family, my community showed up for me in such a powerful way. And again, I'm so healthy. Otherwise, other than that leg, I'm still totally healthy. So I have to be grateful for that.
And you have your lats, and you can
Still have my lats.
you have your lats, you can swing, you can do trapeze.
Yeah. And so, I have so much to be grateful for. I have so much to enjoy, so much still left to do. Um, I can't help but be grateful for that. That's my focus. And every day is a new day. I want more life since it was almost taken from me. Um, but if you're still alive, then you get to choose like how you're going to live the rest of your life. You get to choose what you're going to get out of it, how you're going to be, how you're going to act. And you know uh, I want to live as much as I possibly can with the bonus time that I've been um, fortunate to receive.
Yeah, and you're giving so much to us and to the world. Do you think this made you more empathetic?
It did. It's funny though. It's kind of a combination because uh, there are a lot of things that in we'll talk about the other side. In some ways, I have less patience for bullshit. Basically, I have less patience for complaining, for things that I see like um, that are obviously not as big of a deal as people make up for it. Just because I've seen like okay, this is mental. It's not physical. This is something you choose. You're choosing to be like this. But at the same time, I'm a lover of people. I'm a compassionate person. I want to help people through things. But at least I don't waste time anymore thinking like, oh, well, could it be this or this? It's like, no, I've seen that. I've dealt with it. I know exactly what to do, kind of situation. So I can save time. I can have a better perspective, we'll say, for seeing the big picture of what's really going on here, kind of situation.
Mm.
But yeah, like when Luz was injured, it's like I know what that feels like, and it's like for any acrobat that it's any kind of injury, it doesn't matter. When you can't move the way that you would like to, the way that you're used to being able to do, it's tough. It's not it's impossible to be completely positive in the moment when you lose something like that. The positivity happens as you start to gain it back.
Yeah.
If you're moving in the right direction, it's much easier to be positive if you're constantly getting better. But when that happens, it's devastating, and you need support. You need other people. You need community to help lift you out of that. That's not something that most people can get through on their own at all, and you shouldn't have to. That's why we have community. That's why we build these things. That's why we seek these connections, because yeah, there are lots of times when you need that, and so on the other side, on the flip side, when you're strong and you see somebody else go down, you have to support them. Like it should be a no-brainer, but yeah, just I can't help but to think, okay, that sucks. That's no fun. it's a broken finger, whatever it is, you know, but you can't move the way that you would like to be able to move. And so, yeah, like how do we support that? How do we get each other through moments like that? Because on the other side, you're stronger, you're better, you have more experience, you have a better perspective. So we just need to get each other through those dark moments, those difficult situations, and we're all better as a result.
Help each other get to the side of wisdom, the other side of the experience, which is the experience gained and the wisdom and the strength. So, and you lived that through your experience, right? Like your recovery or your mindset would have probably been a lot different if you would have been in a hospital room by yourself.
Absolutely.
Versus having like the support of your trapeze team and your friends and your Muscle Beach community and all your family and everyone.
Yes. 100%.
Yeah. Wow.
I really appreciate you sharing that. And I kept thinking about, when she asked you some things you were grateful for that came out of this. And I just wanted to let you know that from hearing what you just said, I was just reading, like, I'm grateful for the compassion you have to your situation for other people. Just from that last little part there, it was really beautiful. I was just thinking about, when people can take the hard stuff in their life and bring compassion to others because of it, it's beautiful. It just shines. So thank you for that.
Yeah. So do you want to do, without thinking too much, 3 things that you're grateful for right now?
Well, good coffee, for sure. Always grateful for good coffee. Conversation, community, and yeah, I mean, today's a great day. It's beautiful out. I feel good. I'm excited. It's gonna be a good day. I don't even know what I'm gonna do yet today. I haven't really made all the plans yet because I was looking forward to this. So yeah, grateful for possibilities.
I love that. Chris?
I am grateful for new friendships, inspiring stories, and compassion. Your turn, Laura.
I'm grateful for clean water to drink.
Yes.
I'm so grateful for you all my friends. Like I like a flush of people came into my mind. So I'm grateful for my support system, my friends. And I am grateful for my home in Las Vegas. I feel at home and grounded, and that's a good feeling.
Laura's house is really special too. Abundance House, you guys call it?
Yeah.
In a similar way, the first time I stepped in there, I noticed the energy was just like, this is really, really cool.
Thank you.
There.
Well, this has been wonderful. Thank you so much, Charles Ryan. It's great meeting you, man. Thank you for the time today. I loved hearing how you and Laura met, and I could tell how much you guys care for each other, which just being a witness, that was an absolutely beautiful thing. Laura, thank you again for bringing somebody into my life and then let me hear a wonderful story for these connections. You're amazing. So thank you for that. And if people, Charles Ryan, if people want to kind of check in on you or anything, is Instagram where they go, or do you have any, can we direct people anywhere in the show notes?
Yeah, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, they all link to each other, but Instagram is just at I am Charles Ryan, and Facebook, if you search for Charles Ryan, and then Barber is my last name, you can find me on there pretty easily. I'm very stalkable.
Excellent. All right. Well, thanks, Laura and Charles Ryan. I'm Chris Palmore, and that was Graduate States Radio. Just remind you guys, if you're moving around today, you got some things you could be grateful for. So everybody have a wonderful day, and we are out.